Hello, welcome. Thank you so much for joining this live stream. We are super excited and hopeful that you are enjoying AI Literacy Week. All the webinars that are happening in the morning, in the afternoon, and then author talks that we're doing in the evening. And so as you can tell, I'm joined by a guest, Dr. Sabba Quidwai. Dr. Hello, how are you? Happy that you're here. Dr. Quidwai is the author of a book, Designing Schools. I'm gonna let her tell you about that in just a second. But I have to tell you, if you would like a copy of the book, there's a link down in the comments. You have to fill out the form to win a copy. Oh, yes, I love it when they have it. Yes, show us it. Yes. Designing Schools. Okay, tell us about your wonderful book then. You've got it in your hands. It's perfect.
Oh my gosh. My book is really all about why I believe educators are the most important group of people in this moment of time and how we can own that moment and really use AI to be able to support us in that process. Because I think for so long, there are just too many things that, even the book is really based on my own experience as an educator and still, what I do today. And it's really just this idea that we're asked to do so much with so little. What role does AI play in really allowing us to do and reconnect with why we joined the profession to begin with?
It's so important too, because with this emerging technology coming out, there's just a huge need for people like you to be guiding folks through the process of the way they envision this being such an impactful thing. So thank you so much for contributing a piece of work to the educational space, the ed tech space, and just, for being a leader in that space.
Well, thank you.
It's about AI, which we know is a huge hot topic. It's the topic of this week, but I think it's about so much more. And you've got a lot of components of leadership and design thinking or throughout the book, and so you've brought this lens of AI in, and it really aligns well with what we're talking about this week, which is AI literacy for teachers. AI literacy can mean a lot of things to a lot of people, and so we're sort of asking everybody, how are you defining AI literacy in your space?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll actually tell you, I think one of the problems is we all want our own definitions for everything. And I'm a really big believer in go to the research, go find the people who have nailed this and who are doing the best job at it so that we can focus more of our time on implementation and execution, because truly that is where the gap is. And that's also really the value is that you're going to bring to the table. So my favorite definition right now, and probably to keep going, comes from Teach AI and the OECD Teach AI framework that they launched. And I'll tell you why I like it, because yes, it's AI literacy is the definition they're giving. But like you said, this is actually about so much more than AI. And that's why I gravitate to their definition, because they basically say, I'm going to read it here. It says AI literacy represents the technical knowledge, durable skills, and future ready attitudes. So it's like knowledge, skills, and attitudes required to thrive in a world that is influenced by AI. It enables learners to engage, create with, manage, and design AI while critically evaluating benefits, risks, and ethical implementations. And what I love about that is even in that context, they have AI literacy is like what they're doing. Because they have the focus on the knowledge, the skills, and the attitudes, you can replace out, like if you can nail helping somebody learn that in the context of AI, it should be transferable to any other emerging technology that comes, or even existing technologies that we haven't really taught young people to navigate as well. So I really like the comprehensiveness, but also simplicity of what they are working on and putting together.
That is a fantastic way of defining it, and having that very clear and standardized definition that you're following makes it much easier to really build a piece of work around it and to help guide people through this, because like you said, no need to reinvent the wheel. That's great. So skills, knowledge, and attitudes about AI. Tell us then, because that, those sort of three things kind of can go fall on both sides, right? There's the promise and the parallel. What's really one of the biggest misconceptions about AI in education that either your book or you are sort of hoping to dismantle?
Yeah, and I think that really builds on this, because once you understand knowledge, skills, and attitudes, you really begin to realize like how much more complex learning and thinking is. So I think, this is the one phrase that I feel like I've just heard like all summer long from people, like as they've been booking things and talking about things. And that is like, nobody's thinking anymore. The kids aren't thinking anymore. Like nobody's thinking anymore. And I'm just like, let's define thinking, because I'm pretty sure people are thinking, like we are thinking every minute of every single day about something, right? Like our brains are on like overload in terms of the thoughts, the ideas, the problems, the challenges, all the different things that are running through our head, no matter what age you are. So to me, one of the biggest myths right now is that nobody is thinking. I think people aren't thinking in the box in which you want to keep them thinking, but that doesn't mean that they're not thinking. And so one of the things that I think right now is like we need to really define what thinking means. And it was really interesting because I was just listening to an interview with Demis Hassabis, who he's the CEO of Google DeepMind, and really has been at the forefront of this for like he has like a Nobel Peace Prize, part of AlphaFold, like just all these accolades, right? And he talks about thinking, and he kind of takes it back to when he was like a 4-year-old like chess prodigy, and he goes, one of the ways I define thinking is strategic decision making under pressure. And that is the kind of granular nature, like definition that we need right now when we talk about topics, whether it's creativity, whether it's critical thinking, whether it's just like thinking in general, no matter what it is that we're talking about. Like my thing is like, define what you mean by that word. What does it look like, feel like, sound like, so that we're working off of a shared understanding and definition for not only what we have now, but also, well, what is thinking going to look like in the future when you have machines that are now also able to think and act and do things in a certain way, that is new for all of us.
You are a true designer, defining problems with such clarity to make it easier for everyone to find solutions. I really love that. And just love how you're really tying that into this idea that like it's just the tech right now, y'all. It's going to change. It's when we understand how we are relating to it and how everyone in our space is relating to it that allows us to not see this as this thing that's crushing us, but rather just a tech that we were experiencing. We're going to get another one, and another 5 years, no one's going to say the word AI anymore. I heard someone say it'll be a feature. It won't
Yeah.
be AI anymore. It'll just be
Yeah.
something you expect.
I mean, it's
Okay.
so funny you say that because I remember when I first got iPads in my classroom, and Book Creator was like one of the first applications. And like, I think most of us just take so for granted what a like a life-changing moment that was, right? Like, oh, our kids can create these digital books. Like every conflict, like if AI is like the big topic today, I feel like Book Creator and like digital storytelling and telling books and things like that 20 years ago was like this big thing. And now with like Gemini, I can like upload a picture and just get a storybook. Like now we're just so used to audiobooks, Kindles, all these other things that have now just become part of our day-to-day life. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Like it will fizzle into something so much more insignificant. But it's even more interesting is that you take the essay. I always tell people, like, look at apps like Book Creator and how long they've been around to try to reimagine how we learn, how we write, how we think, and how we present and share and work with information. Yet till this day, the essay is the biggest barrier, despite having a tool like yours for the past 2 decades, right? Yeah,
Right.
like so what's missing? So it's not tech, right? Like what is missing then in our equation?
Right. Yeah. I think knowledge, skills, and attitudes. Right. Is that what you
There
said?
you go. There you go.
Perfect. Okay. So teachers need to walk away from this live stream with something they can do right away. Give teachers something that's from your book that they can just take to the classroom.
Yeah, I'll tell you one, and it's probably like people's favorite, and that is it's an interview. And so what I recommend, there's too many people that want to start AI by putting people on an AI tool. And I kind of believe a little bit different. What I believe first is you need a moment to like actually reconnect with what you want. Because when somebody asks you like, hey, I've got a genie in a bottle here, and it can make anything for you, it can do anything for you, a lot of times if you just go with what you first ask, there's always that like, oh no, I could have asked for this, right? And so I always say, like, I have this philosophy, like prompt the human before the machine. And so here's how I like to do it. So if you're a teacher and you're just like, okay, well, what can I do? And no matter how experienced you are, I think this is amazing to do. It's a habit that we build. I say, get another person and go outside for a walk. Okay. Go outside for a walk and interview each other using my Spark framework. So Spark is my prompting framework that can be used with or without an AI tool. It's basically an empathy interview. And you're going to share your situation. Who are you? What do you do? So I'm Sabba. I teach high school history, and I've got like 2 new classes this year, like psych and world history, and I've never taught those before. So then you ask somebody, what's the problem you're facing right now? Well, my problem is like I have never taught this content before, and there's like AI, and like I don't know if like the kids are using the AI tools, and it's just like a lot for me right now, right? Then you ask people about their aspiration. Like if everything worked out well, what would it look like? Well, if everything worked out well, it might look like, kids engaging in like debates and active discussion and historical thinking and like all these other things. What's a result you'd like to see? Well, I'd love to design like a project-based like unit for our first like intro to the topic, right? I really want to set the stage with project-based learning, design thinking, like whatever your kind of vision is. And I just really want them to be actively engaged so that, they're being challenged, but they're also not just being given work that's not engaging, that's boring, because I just know they're going to go home and use AI, right? And this is where, to me, the beauty happens. So as the interviewer, your job is just to try to ask as much as you can around those 4 areas: situation, problem, aspiration, results, all written on the book. But the answer doesn't have to come from you. And this is the beautiful part of it. Like, we just have to get really good at framing the questions, the ask, the challenge, the idea. And then you go to your AI tool and you put those notes in or whatever. And you ask your AI tool, give me 3 to 4 ideas for how I could get started. So we're not asking for a answer. We're asking for a selection of ideas that we can mix and match, remix. I like some of them. I like none of them. I like this and this. Let's mix it together. I've got this many days, this many class minutes, this many this. And literally within 30 minutes, you could go from having the biggest problem for like, how am I going to deal with this? I have no idea, to having a completely outlined roadmap that you could launch tomorrow. And if you want to add another little fun element to this layer, I tell people take an AI note taker with you so that you're not pressured to like write notes or remember or anything like that. We love Granola AI is a good one for this. Hit record, have a great conversation, go for a walk, talk about what's challenging for you or what you wish things could be like in your ideal world, and come back, upload that into your AI tool. Be like, how are you going to figure this out, AI? Like, give me 3 to 4 ideas. How are we going to make this happen? And I've been running this for the last like 3 years, and it's just mind blowing to me how empowering it is for people to be like, wow, I had no idea I could just ask for something so complex, right? Things that people think there's no answer to, or the answer is too hard. And all of a sudden it's laid right out there in front of them.
That is fantastic and such a great. It's clearly obvious that you have design skills. You've worked with design thinking processes and procedures, because everything that you just said, like the power of questioning and like fantastic idea to them. Just bring me the AI in. That's a really great idea. I'm in a really great use case for that. And what do they say about AI? You get crap in, crap out kind of thing. Like, of course, if you just went to AI and be like, give me a solution for this, it's going to suck. But if you let it sit and listen to you for 30 minutes about your problems and your aspirations and your goals, and it's like, that's complex. That's
Yeah.
3 hours worth of work right there.
And
I
I think a lot
love
of it is like the same as like, like just going back to like that myth around like people aren't thinking. To me, it's like the same as like, like when you're about to do a presentation. Like, we all know that the worst thing to do is to sit right in front of like a slide deck and start creating, right? Or even like like even a digital book. Like, you have to generate ideas first. You have to brainstorm, you have to have an outline. If you just open up the tool right away, you never get a great first iteration of anything. And so I think, this is the power of educators, is we know how to teach thinking, but it is a little bit of my observation that we become a little lax on how we teach these things. And there's almost like this assumption that people just know how to think. They just know how to use technology. They just know how to do things. And they don't, even if they're using it all day long.
that is a fair assessment right there, because we see it all the time with our students where they think that they're digital natives, and
Yeah.
then we're really amiss because they haven't, had to grow up and learn all those things. It's not an inherent skill. You have to learn that
No.
to navigate those things. And with the new wave of AI, again, the reason why we have AI literacy week happening and to align itself well with your definition is we want folks to understand what attitudes they should have around these things, the skills they need, and the knowledge that they need to have to operate. Because those are the 3, right? Skills,
Yeah.
knowledge, attitude. Okay. Like, man, I'm gonna remember. Okay, folks, we are almost out of time. I had a banner up just a second ago. There's way more to this book than what we could try and cram into 15 minutes. You need to check it out. Dr. Sabba Quidwai, thank you so much for being here, for writing this book, for encouraging folks. What are your last words? What do you want to leave them with?
I would just say like one of the last things would be like these days there is so much, because I know we were going to talk a little bit about ethics and home and school, and I would just say these days there's so much being sent kids' way, AI companions. Like I was just reading yesterday, AI toys, whether it's Barbie, stuffed animals, this and that. And so I would just really encourage people to like expand their definition of ethics and integrity to beyond the essay. I feel like when we talk about ethics and integrity, we're really only talking about academics, but our kids have to live in a real world that is pushing AI at them through just about every single avenue they can find. And I think it's really hard for kids to differentiate between AI at school and AI at home if we keep a very narrow definition. And so I would just say like our responsibility goes so much more beyond like, are they thinking, are they writing? Like when you teach, like my favorite definition of integrity is C.S. Lewis. And he says, it's what you do when no one is watching. And I think that's what we have to prepare kids for. Like most of the challenging situations they're going to be in are going to be when no one's watching. There's no filter, there's no tracker, there's nobody watching your room, what word you're putting in. And we have to give them those skills. And so that would be my last thing, like that empathy piece for kids and what they're going through. Like I don't think it's an easy world right now to grow up in that space without guidance.
You're brilliant. It's a pleasure to have you on. Thank you so much. I could not agree with you more. And I hope that those of you watching out there, you pick up a copy of Sabba's book, you have a read. There it is again, check it out. Hopefully one of you win it tonight. And just thank you so much for coming on.
I'm gonna take a photo. There we go. Bye everyone.
Bye everyone.